Okay, everybody, I am so excited today because I am joined by the one and only Eleanor Lambert, aka Jenny, in Time Now, which is in theaters and on demand now. How you doing today, Eleanor?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you for
Oh
asking
no.
that lovely introduction.
Oh, of course. I'm thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to talk to you. I absolutely love this film. And really, the first thought that came to my mind when I was interviewing was like, this must be so exciting for you because you're starring in this mystery thriller that just premiered at the Austin Film Festival.
Yes.
Is this like a dream come true for you?
I mean, it was from start to finish. It was pretty much the most ideal for real first job I could have ever dreamed of. I got, I'm the lead, which is like when Spencer asked you to do this, I was like, did you call the right person? Like, are you sure? It was so cool. And from, like I said, from start to finish, being on set with such amazing people. I mean, every single person was 10 out of 10, was so dedicated, so driven, so present. Spencer said it in an interview that we did together. He was like, everybody wanted to be there. And that kind of energy is so infectious, and it keeps it light, it keeps it fun, it keeps everybody really excuse me, really engaged throughout. And so, and also, being on a smaller set like that, we're all in each other's business all day long in like the best possible way. I learned so much, as a novice of the craft, and the few sets I've been on have sort of been much larger productions, and you're sort of put in your trailer and kept there until you're needed. And this was super cool because I got to learn so much about how this industry really works on the inside. So it was really amazing. It was so
Oh
cool.
yeah, and that's interesting. You keep mentioning too about it being like a smaller project and intimate, and
Yeah.
you're having fun on set, but that you've had experience on bigger projects. For people first seeing you perform in this film, a lot of them are probably going to wonder, are you someone who's interested in doing like lead roles in big projects? Like, is that something you want to do down the road, or are you kind of like stuck, like you want to do indies? Like, what's your kind of vibe?
Well, I mean, I want to work. I'm just so
Right.
excited to finally be able to say I picked a thing and I'm gonna do it now. And like, things like that take time. I think, we're asked to make these big life decisions when we're 17, 18, 19, even 23 is anyway. I want to work. I'm so excited to be embarking on this. And so I'm like, I will do it.
I
Trust
love that.
me,
No,
I think I can do it now, finally building up that confidence kind of. It's a journey. I'm
yeah,
so
and
much on, of course. I think we all are, but anyway.
yeah, that's such a good positive vibe to have too. And I like you mentioned that you were saying that it was like positive vibes on set. And I love hearing stories like that because this is a very heavy emotional movie. It put me in a dark place a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering for your craft and doing the role of Jenny, did you find a lot you can relate to in such a like dark storyline, or did you have to kind of go places maybe not too familiar?
Well, that's a great question. I would say that, huh, Jenny is very different from Eleanor. Like, we could not be more different, at least internally and experience, like in our daily lives and how we respond to the situations and experiences of our lives. Very different. So that kind of the closed off quality of Jenny, and the sort of lack of intimacy that she deliberately cultivates in her life. She keeps everybody at a distance because she is also at a distance inside of herself, So I think there were a couple moments, I when I'm off camera and on set, I definitely couldn't keep the like, I'm in my zone, okay? Because that's just not me. And so I was hanging out with people, and then I was like, okay, I need to take take a little bit of time and get back into the headspace. But I think what actually really helped this was we shot this entire movie in 15 days. So we were like, bah, 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 bah. So by the end of the days, my decompression time was shortened, and in a way that I think really served me, because I didn't get an opportunity. I didn't have 3 days I did have obviously some days off. It wasn't anything like horrendous or illegal, obviously. I just mean, when you make a movie that quickly, I didn't have so much time to like let her go and then have to bring her back. So in that sense, I think I did get to sort of stay in that mindset on a sort of overall. But I did have to go to some dark places, and I think that now when I did this film, I was 6 months into my first year of acting training, which in the Meissner technique is essentially untraining. It's deconditioning yourself to allow yourself to have an authentic experience, and like getting into your gut, really. And so when I showed up to do this movie, I had like less of an idea of what I thought I needed to do, which, like, like I said, really, I think helped me, because that's Jenny. Jenny is out of adjustment. Jenny is she's a bit of an odd bird. And I like that about her. But this is all just to say that now, having just finished finally, my 2-year program, which was slated to end in 2020, of course, like everyone was in the middle of something in March of 2020. And I literally had my last acting class last night. We finally got back together. It's unbelievable. But now that I've completed that, and there are some more tools in my tool chest that I'm excited to get to use. So I'll just say that. And I wouldn't change a single thing about the entire process of from pre-production. Spencer and Claudia Black and I all got on the phone and we were chatting all the time, and that also really helped to sort of, you start building the world, to be able to start building the world with the director and with another lead in the film. That helped also to sort of get into that mindset. But anyway, I'm totally rambling, so I'm gonna stop.
No, I'm enjoying it. You're great at this, and I'm impressed too, because you're bringing up a lot of interesting stuff. So I'm trying to catch it all, because I'm like, oh, I want to ask her about that. I want to ask her about that.
Sorry.
No. I like it all, and I think too that it's interesting. You're talking about like just finishing an acting class. So I know from research I've done before this interview that you previously started with modeling. I don't know if this is accurate or not, because I think I found this on Wikipedia, but that you also studied journalism.
I did. That is
okay, so now
accurate.
I feel like you're judging my journalist skills while I'm doing this. So I'm going to pretend I don't know that.
I'm judging. Oh my God.
Yes. No, but is acting though really like what at the end of the day your true love is that you want to do, or are you kind of someone you have a bunch of things you like doing? Like,
I know it's true. I have sort of dabbled into different, I would say, professional tracks, because I don't know if they ever turned into proper professions for me. But so my first love was writing. I was writing when I was a wee one, because it was just fun and free, and I love words. I love words. I love language and the beauty of language and being able to express. However, I do find this format to be something I, at this stage of my life, feel much more comfortable with. I'm a talker. I like to talk. Conversation flows much more easily, obviously, in a conversation. Wow, what a surprise. Than in an article. Sure. However, I would say in terms of modeling, modeling was fun. And what I loved about modeling is kind of what I'm learning I love about almost everything is I love the set. I love the communal aspect. I love meeting people from across the world. And I love feeling just like a cog in a wheel, like everybody on set. One person didn't show up, the whole thing falls apart. And that sort of reciprocity on set of like, I am here for you and you are here for me and we are here for each other. Like, loved that. But what I think my real true love is understanding human experience. And so, I didn't know that until later in my life. So I didn't have an opportunity to study psychology or neuroscience or, the crosses between spirituality and psychology. And those are sort of my, like, I could just, like, my bookshelf is like all that. I'm like, okay, there's a theme here. Get it. If anyone comes over, like, there's no mystery what I'm interested in. But acting, is kind of, you know, the outside in version of that. Like I am fascinated by the mechanisms and the neural the neural transmitters and the inner workings, and I want to understand that from a scientific, my mind wants to understand that from a scientific standpoint. But acting is really very much the outside in version. You get to see somebody emote and have and manifest their experience, and then you get to go, what is going on in there? Why
Right,
are you
right.
doing it the way that you're doing it? So in that sense, acting is like definitely, I definitely my passion in terms of, because it does hit me in my natural kind of curiosity about
Yeah.
people, you know. And that's what I loved about this film in particular, because Jenny is our main character. She's who we follow throughout the film, but she introduces us to everybody else in the film, and we get these amazing snapshots of all different kinds of people going through this one single event, this one tragedy, this traumatic event. And I thought Spencer captured very well, and each character captured very well, just the myriad ways that people respond to trauma. And how, of course, like, I mean, just even you and I, in this interview, we're going to have two totally different experiences of this interview, obviously, because we're two different people. And I think that if you can capture that in a film, especially with, there's a lot of characters in this film, and but they're all unified in this one tragedy. And I think, you know, to see that sort of splintering, but also that the unity of it, that's what I really liked. That's what really drew me to this. And especially now, the more that I've seen it and I'm able to talk about it, you know, in these interviews, and the more I think about it, I think that is a real feat of the film, is how we get to, you know, we get to see the person who takes on all the guilt of something like this. We get to see the person who is like, will not engage, will not process. We see the person who dives into the work and the dream that was built before this happened. And so we've got Joan, who's the caretaker. And so we've got this like interesting snapshot of a lot of different psyches.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the best part about the film. And you'd mentioned too before Claudia Black, and I think my favorite scenes were between you and her. And having that
fairy godmother, I just have to say that I love.
Oh yeah,
my whole heart.
Oh yeah. No, you guys together just clicked perfectly. But did that come right away? Was there, you know, a process you were learning through with her, like to how do you guys to get in sync? Like did that just magically fall into place? How did that?
It magically fell into place. I know that's like the most annoying thing ever. But we went out to a lunch. We were all staying at the same hotel, and I had never met her, you know, and we were about to film like the next day, and so I was like, do you want to go get some huevos rancheros? So there's a place I'm obsessed with. I was like, I'm going to find the best huevos in Detroit. And I found them and they were so good. And I was like, do you want to come with me? And from that meal, I don't know, we were just like, oh my God, like, are we best friends? Like, I think we're best friends. Like, it was one of those just,
hell yeah.
I can't even describe. I've never really, you know, I'm 28. I'm still a very young person, and she is as well. But I had never really had that, because I grew up with all my friends, and I have basically, you know, aside from, you know, my partner and the people I've been so lucky to meet through him, but most of my friends I've known forever. Sure. So to make that kind of a connection that was just so immediate and so genuine, I love her. It was literally like just like that. Yeah, it was amazing.
I think that's awesome, and I think just not just with you and how you do with Claudia, but just the whole performance, you manning this film, being the lead, you did such a good job. And so much. What runs through my head too is I also think there's a credit to it that, you know, you have two parents that are actors. Did you feel that there is like an added pressure whenever you act now because of that? Like, do you feel that? Are you able to just kind of tune it out? Like, how has that been? Has that been a challenge?
It's definitely there. It lives in my brain. It's a little voice that, you know, compares. I think we all have that in our respective professions. And that is, you know, one of the tasks of being alive is deconditioning some of those downloaded, you know, things that we get from the overculture of just, perfectionism and the form something takes as opposed to the substance of it. And I think that, but at the same time, it's like, I have to, I know I have to turn that off. I know that's doing me such a disservice and keeping me from connecting to something inside myself. And that's the work. That's the internal sort of work of an artist, of anyone who's putting their work out there in any capacity, But there is a little bit of that, It was funny. My last acting class last night, we had our sweet kind of debrief with our teacher. A friend of mine in the class was talking about, and she also echoed this kind of interesting thing that can happen. People like, oh no, I don't do class. I'm a natural. This kind of like I'm a natural thing. And power to you if you are, and like that's awesome. But for me, it's been so crucial to have tools in my tool chest that when I'm like starting to feel that internal, like, oh God, I'm not connecting or something doesn't feel quite right, I can go, chill.
Yeah.
We know what's the circumstance, like I have my tools, which just help for me. And then, this made me think of something else, if that's okay. I know I'm just like,
no,
about something in the film. Something else that I really loved about this film was, like I said, we download these sort of like, do this, don't do this. You're not allowed to, if you're not the best, don't bother trying. It's like, what even is the best? But I think that we see in this film the way that society, culture, whatever, patriarchy has taught us that some of the feelings that we just so naturally have as people are like bad or wrong or shameful. And that's not to say that they're not unpleasant and we don't want to, eventually move through and beyond them, hopefully. But when we start to, and I think this is what happened to Jenny so deeply, and when we start to shoot ourselves with that second arrow, right? We have this like difficult feeling inside of ourselves, and then we go, and shame on you, and you're not supposed to, your job is to fill in the blank. And it's like, well, my job is to have my feelings and be present with myself. And so, and we're not taught that, and we're not given tools to heal. We have to, if we want to heal whatever that may be, we have to really actively seek it out. It's not readily available for people. We don't have those resources, and it requires money and time. And so I just think that, Jenny is sort of this tragic snapshot of what can happen when you just don't give yourself any space to have your feelings, and you just go, nope, not engaging, over and over and over again. And
right.
With no intimate connection with anybody in your life, including your child, her child, there's not one moment of real intimacy between them. And I remember being like, oh, ouch, but her, and it culminates in this ultimate act of more harm and, people, hurting people. And, I think there's an opportunity for people to heal each other and help. And so, on the flip side of this very dark story is the alternative also, you walk away with what could have happened if it didn't go like that? If Jenny didn't run from her feelings, if we didn't go to our own experience, Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's just great wisdom right there. And I think you make a really good point there at the end too, that like, everything you're saying is we can translate that through the language of film, and that you go away with that, hopefully learn something, a better person. And how do we learn it if we're not, going to someone else's live and living it? That's, I guess, the beauty of film. And then you're the one, translating that.
I could just like feel your love of film through the screen. It's like
I'm vibing from you. I'm rolling off of you. So I have one more question. If you have time for one more question.
Yes, totally. I have just like been ranting away.
I had to ask you this. So
please, of course, yes.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you're a New York-based actress, right? So, okay, so I'm in New York too. I love when I talk to New York talent, and I always feel like for upcoming actresses and actors, they always want to like run to LA. So
Right.
I wanted to ask you, like, being that you've been in New York, do you like, can you kind of give us like maybe the case for why, like, what's that advantage of being in New York as an
Oh,
actor?
sure.
I think it gets a bad rap, if that makes sense.
I would say so. And there's, back in the day, yes, you needed to physically be in Hollywood because that's where that was happening. But first of all, everything seems to be shooting in Canada. And obviously Canada is huge, but if it's in Toronto, it's like right there. So that's good.
True.
It's just but I would say, New York there's no place like New York. Other cities have like a quality here and the quality, you're like put four cities together and it's kind of similar to New York, but in terms of that energy, that is something that I think actors really need. We need, because a lot of acting at the beginning especially is waiting for the opportunity to act and is waiting to put these tools and all the doing that you want to do into action. And we need to keep our souls fed. We need to keep moving. We need to be seeing art. We need to be going and looking at the water at sunset. And something about LA, I just get a little sleepy out there. There's a sleepy kind of energy if you're not consistently working. It's like I gotta get in my car and sit in the traffic to go look at the ocean. And it's like,
right.
Maybe I won't do that today because I'm in my apartment in West Hollywood and I'm just not going to do that today. And then, but on a slightly more serious note or more technical note, everything is, obviously everything is over Zoom now. I haven't been in an audition room since 2020, very early 2020, obviously. Right. And that's kind of that. What a gift. You can submit from basically anywhere. With some restrictions, obviously, in terms of like local hires and COVID things, I do understand that you don't want to be like totally just like traveling all the time. Sure. But that what an amazing gift to give yourself some freedom to be able to, and so much is happening out here. Also, you're gonna like I get auditions from LA that I do over here, so I don't know. It's tough for me because the city, it's been 10 years. I crossed 10 years in New York in August, which is just, are you from New York?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, born and bred. That's so cool. Can I ask where?
A little upstate, like and now I'm in
that's your good vibes right there. It's the upstate vibe that I'm getting. It's just, I love a New Yorker, like, of course, but has such warm energy. I'm so grateful.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you.
Nice. Feels like such a lovely interview. But that's what I would say about New York.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. And that gives everyone who has doubts of going to LA, stay in New York, ride it out. You're going to get rewarded. And
it's an ass kicker of a city. And that's also helpful. It keeps you in motion. They're like, okay, we're moving. So get it. Like,
I love it. But yeah, everyone, you got to see the lovely Eleanor Lambert here. She gives so much free wisdom here. This is free. There's no Patreon. You get this for free. Enjoy it. Take notes. But if you loved even just listening to her, you got to watch her just kick total butt here in Time Now, which is in theaters and on demand now. Eleanor, thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope to talk to you again in the future one day.
Oh, me too. This was so nice.